Ciao, buongiorno, or buonasera. If you are here, it means you are thinking about coming to Palermo. So first off, let me give you a big hug and blow you a big Sicilian kiss. Consider this video an intro guide to my city, Palermo. I'm gonna tell you the exact same things I tell my close foreign friends when they visit, to ensure they get an authentic Sicilian experience. Stay with me till the end of this video because the insights I'm dropping are pure gold. You won't find them anywhere else. Just real useful tips to help you experience the city like a real local, not just like another clueless tourist. And by the way, if you don't know me, my name is Nico, 100% Sicilian, Palermo resident and founder of Palermo.com, the most authentic guide to Palermo made by Sicilians with love. Ok, iniziamo. Let's get started. What can you expect from Palermo? Allora, it really depends on where you come from and how much you have traveled, because let's be real, we all compare new places to what we already know, right? But in general, if you talk to someone, a friend who has visited the city, you're likely to hear three main things. Number one, that Palermo is an old city where history is literally around every single corner. It's like a living history museum. There are so many awesome attractions and monuments that you would have to live here for the rest of your life to see them all. Second, they will tell you that Palermo is noisy, energetic, chaotic, crowded, where there is always stuff going on. Bars and restaurants always crowded, scooters and Vespas zooming all over, people out and about day and night, and street vendors yelling about their food like crazy, and what food it is, mamma mia! Sicilian cuisine will make your taste buds dancing the Macarena. It's a circus, it's a madhouse, but in the best possible way. And number three, they will tell you that Palermo boasts gorgeous beaches, crystal clear waters, and spectacular mountains that make the views simply breathtaking. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? They might also mention that Palermo's management by the local government is not exactly the best. Let's say that leaves something to be desired. And to be honest, there is also the perception that Sicilians are not exactly rule-oriented. However, while this might be a problem for the locals, tourists find it part of the city's charm. Now, what do you do in Palermo? Why is it so famous? Why do so many tourists flock to the city through the year? There are 5 activities that you must absolutely do to bring home an authentic Sicilian experience. Number 1, sightseeing. As I mentioned, Palermo has a vast historical center packed with important stuff that you gotta see. Some say that it's the biggest historical center in Europe, while others say it's a second close. You know it goes. It's like guys comparing, their historical centers. Size matters, they say, but in between us, it's not all about the size. What you should know is that it's vast with many iconic spots that you gotta visit, otherwise you have some folks giving you that look and say, "Did you even set foot in Palermo?" And those iconic spots that you should have on your list are the 2 cathedrals. The city center cathedral, renowned for its diverse architectural styles and the panoramic view from its rooftop, and that Monreale Cathedral, situated atop a mountain, celebrated for its detailed mosaics. Then Massimo Theatre, Italy's biggest opera house, ranking as the 3rd largest in Europe. They shot some scenes from the Godfather movie here. Then the Inquisition prisons, nestled within an ancient noble palace, they contain a striking graffiti drawn by the condemned. The Norman Palace, this palace shelters the Palatine Chapel, regarded by many historians as one of the world's most beautiful. The Four Corners, an octagonal square surrounded by 4 grand building facades. Each facade is richly decorated with statues, columns, fountains, and so on and so forth. The Fountain of Shame, a remarkable 16th century fountain showcasing nude male and female figures. The Catacombs, as you wander its aisles, thousands of mummified figures seem to watch over you. The Church of Jesus stands out as a premier example of Italian Baroque architecture. The Zisa Palace, a Norman stronghold constructed nearly a millennium ago, steeped in tales of the past. And the ancient street markets, these medieval markets, have remained unchanged throughout their 1,000-year history. Now, an important thing to say, please do your homework. It means create an itinerary, get at least the gist of the things to see, and use audio guides when you see attractions, otherwise you don't get their significance. And please, don't be one of those fortunately only few who come here completely ignorant of the city's important, long, intricate history and leave comments like, I spent 2 days in Palermo and there is not too much to see. You have got to be kidding me. There is an incredibly important sight to see every 2 steps, and if you don't see them, you probably hit the face against them as you walk. How the heck can you miss them? You must be blind not to see them. Let's get back on topic. To conclude this point, read up about what you want to see and why. There is no need to chunk down a Sicilian history book, but try to get at least the gist and provide yourself with an itinerary and audio guide. And second thing you gotta do in Palermo is eat like there is no tomorrow, and forget about your diet because Palermo food is amazing, buonissimo. We are in Italy, so pasta, pizza, pomodoro and mozzarella definitely must try, but Palermo cuisine is much more than that. Palermo is famous for, number 1, street food. According to those food geniuses out there that give out awards and stars, the street food here is the best in Europe. And they ain't just French fries and sausages, but a vast array of ancient recipes of meat, fish and veggies. Many dishes sound scary, like the spleen sandwich, but they are actually delicious. What I recommend doing is a guided food tour where they take you through the street markets and make you try the best dishes as you listen to very entertaining stories about how Sicilians came up with these dishes. Check out the description for the best tours. Number 2, dessert. With melted ice cream and cannolis, and this alone should be enough reason to pilgrim to Sicily and worship Sicilian pastry chefs. But there is even more than that. Besides gelato, ice cream and cannoli, there are a bunch of other delicacies you must try, such as the 7-meal cakes, cassata cake, these little pastry baskets filled with yellow cream and fruit, almond cookies, this rolled up cake called buccellato, and this thing called Sfincia di San Giuseppe, which is a kind like a cream puff but way better. And desserts with pistachio cream, mamma mia. A great piece of advice I wanna give you: if you wanna try the real Sicilian pastries, the good ones, you gotta go to a proper pasticceria. These are traditional pastry shops that specialize in pastries and nothing else. Don't go to these little hole-in-the-wall places that you can find in the city center. And number 3, Mediterranean cuisine. This is an endless list of recipes featuring fish, meat and veggies made with local products such as camponata, eggplant salad, sardine meatballs, parmigiana, eggplant and parmesan, and tomato sauce, vegetable fritters, swordfish rolls, bacala, salt cod, fava bean soup, seafood salad, boiled octopus, mussels, clams, meatballs and tomato sauce, and more. Now, 2 important things when it comes to eating in Palermo. Number 1, if you wanna find a good restaurant, don't rely on TripAdvisor. They mostly have tourist reviews and not many locals. This is because around here, word of mouth still rules. So ask your host, a local friend, people you might bump into on the streets, our patron saint Rosalia, or if you have it, check out my premium guide. There is a section with the best places where us locals eat. The link is in the description. Now, another important thing to say, our historic center looks like a Sin City, full of indulgent Sicilian dishes like pasta, pizza, gelato, cannolis, you name it. So if you're looking for a lighter fare like veggie, fish, or you are vegetarian, vegan, do some research on Sicilian cuisine first. Otherwise, wandering around, you will only find heavy dishes. And the third, la numero 3 thing that must be on your list are the beaches. We have incredible aquarium clear waters here. There are tons of beautiful beaches that you gotta visit, but of course you won't stay here forever, so I'm gonna tell you only the best ones. If you don't wanna travel far from the city, there are 2 beaches that you wanna take into account. Number 1, Mondello. Mondello is the most popular and closest to the city. It used to be an old fishing village, but is now a fancy beach resort with gorgeous wet sand and crystal clear water. Mondello is always the first place that comes to locals' minds whenever they see a sun ray, so it is obviously the most crowded. Number 2, Altaura. This is the rocky coastline with beach clubs where you can rent a spot with an umbrella and chairs. It's more local, not too many tourists here. The rocky beach may not be as comfortable as Mondello, but the water is even clearer and less crowded. Then if you're willing to travel a bit farther from the city, I would recommend other beaches. The first one is San Vito lo Capo. This is a charming little village that boasts white sand and crystal water, does great food, many things to see. It's probably one of the most sought after destination on the island. Number 2, La Riserva dello Zingaro. This is a natural reserve with clear waters and hiking trails immersed in nature, if you can see it on a boat tour. And number 3, Cefalù, famous not just for the beach, but for the whole town, one of the coolest in Italy with a UNESCO World Heritage Cathedral that you gotta visit. Now, let me tell you one thing. If you're a beach lover, you wanna come here only to soak up the sun, eat, drink, have fun, so you don't wanna go sightsee, then you should spend at least a couple of days in one of these paradise-like islands that surround Sicily, easily reachable from Palermo. All of these islands differ for size, scenery and pace. Some are wider, while others are more lively, but they all feature a similar laid-back vibe. That is swimming in crystal waters, eating like there is no tomorrow, drinking cocktails and hiking or biking around. Now I'll tell you my favorites. Number 1, Lampedusa, my top pick for beaches with some of the clearest water you'll ever see. It's a 40-minute flight from Palermo on small plane. Number 2, Favignana. I love it, it's really beautiful. It's one of the most popular, but it's also one of the most crowded. Beautiful beaches, cute town, lots to do. You take a 90-minute bus from Palermo to Trapani, then a 25-minute ferry to Favignana. Number 3, Ustica, closest to Palermo and famous for scuba diving, with underwater scenery like an aquarium. It's a 2-hour ferry from Palermo port. Number 4, Panarea. This is probably the most beautiful. It's part of the glamorous Aeolian Islands. It's where celebrities and VIPs vacation. Now, one important thing. The main beach season runs from May to September. The bravest swimmers will take a dip also in April and October. Although the season lasts, it depends on the weather craziness. We often get random beach days during the winter. Some years people have gone swimming even on Christmas. But this is unpredictable more than a couple of days in advance. So don't ask me if you can go to the beach in November, December, February, March, because I don't have a crystal ball. And numero 4, the fourth thing that must be on your list is to experience the incredible nightlife. Now here nightlife is not about drinking until you sit double, clubbing and passing out on your own puke. It's more about hopping from one bar to another to the old cheerful alleys of the historic center and gathering in the squares. What locals love is staying outdoors. We don't like to stay inside bars, yes, even in the winter, sipping drinks and talking with friends like there is no tomorrow. Sicilians love to talk. Nightlife here means connecting with people, staying with people, having fun with them. So if you're open to socializing, you will see that making new friends in Palermo is not too difficult as long as you speak English slowly and use only simple words, since English is not widely spoken in Italy. What I recommend is starting your night with an aperitivo and then roaming the historic center and following the crowd. As you know already, the most active area is the historic center, but in summer, seaside spots like Addaura, Sferracavallo and Mondello are active too. And if you are a party animal, there is a place that you gotta visit. It's Bucceria. This is an old street market packed with bars, loud music, people and zero rules. The place feels like the old Wild West with no rules and no sheriff inside. Now, a couple of tips to keep in mind. Number 1, if you're interested in clubbing, just know that you need to dress up a little bit to get into clubs. Otherwise, without a proper attire, the bouncers will let you in. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. This doesn't apply to street bars like those in the Bucceria markets. I'm talking about full-fledged clubs. Number 2, in Palermo, the hottest places change day to day. It means that on Tuesday is one place, on Saturday is another one. And there is no website saying what's the best that night, so you need to rely on word of mouth. So ask locals. And number 3, if you want to find a bar with live music, just know that they exist, but are not well promoted. Some may post on Instagram, but there is not a website or an app. So if you wanna find a bar with live music, just wander the historic center until you see one. And numero 5, the last thing on your list is visiting some of the charming little towns around Palermo. We got tons of picturesque towns and each with unique characteristics. When I mentioned the beaches earlier, I named San Vito Lo Capo and Cefalù. This also fall into the category of towns to visit, not only for the beaches but for the towns themselves. And apart from those, get ready your pen and paper because I'm gonna tell you other 3 must-see towns. Number 1, Agrigento, home of the Valley of the Temples, an archaeological park preserving ancient Greek temples temples and the largest in Europe. It's a 2-hour train ride from Palermo. Numero 2, Erice, a medieval town atop the mountain where it seems the Middle Ages never ended. Take a bus from Palermo to Trapani, then I recommend the cable car up the mountain. And number 3, Segesta, site of one of the world's best preserved Greek temples that historians call a miracle. It also has a Greek theater with views that will stick with you forever. It's about an hour drive from Palermo. Now let's talk about some paid tours that are worth investing some money in. Now, I can already hear you groaning, Nico, mamma mia, paid tour. Listen, I get it. I'm a solo tour guy too, but sometimes you gotta shell out some dough for the full experience, right? And I bet my mom's lasagna that you will love the 3 tours that I'm going to suggest. Now, just to be clear, these tours are not offered by wearepalermo.com. These are from other companies. I've tried them as any other tourist. I had a great time and I'm gonna share them with you. So I'm not responsible for any part of them. In the description you can find the links to these tours. Just check them out. Number 1, tour numero 1, the street food tour through the street markets. As already mentioned, Palermo is considered the street food capital of Europe. And not going on a street food tour in Palermo would be like going to Japan and skipping sushi. Of course you can try the street food yourself, you can tour solo, but it won't be the same because for 2 reasons. First, we got an endless list of recipes with some weird Italian Sicilian names with no translations at all. Second, the best part of the street food tour is the history behind each of the dishes that only a knowledgeable guide can provide. This means that if you go alone, it would be just a buffet of unfamiliar foods that you might even pay double because street vendors do take advantage of tourists. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. This happens in many tourist destinations, not just in Sicily. In tour number 2, the No Mafia walk-in tour. You gotta do this. This is really eye-opening. I hear a lot of crap on TV about the Mafia. They tend to glorify this bunch of idiots as they are heroes or something. This tour, the guides will take you around the city as they tell the stories of those who died fighting the Mafia. Show you what a cancer the Mafia has been for us Sicilians. You have the chance to see the Mafia through our eyes and understand the negative impact that the Mafia had on Sicily. And lastly, we got a cooking class. Sicilians are undisputed masters in the kitchen, and not learning some killer recipes such as pasta, pizza, gelato, cannoli, some street food dishes would be a crime. Trust me, learn a few dishes and you'll be the star back home. Check the description for the best cooking class option. One more bonus tour. If you got a driver's license and you want a really cool experience, check out the Fiat 500 drive tour. You get behind one of these iconic cars to cruise around and visit Palermo's main attractions like a rock star. As always, the link is in the description. One important thing, these tours are mad popular and sell out fast, so if you wanna go, make sure you book as soon as possible. Now, what is the best time to visit Palermo? It really depends on you, what type of tourist you are and what you wanna do. In general, we have 2 types of tourists: those who only want to swim, tan, drink, eat and repeat, and they couldn't care less about the cultural aspect. If that's you, you wanna come here in the warmer seasons, so from May to September. Then we got those tourists whose main reason for visiting is the cultural aspect. They want to deeply explore the city and the little towns around, pig out on every Sicilian dish. To sum it up, they want to have an authentic Sicilian experience. If you're one of those, I would recommend the cooler seasons because you will walk a lot, and walking around under the blazing hot sun isn't fun. And Palermo gets really hot in the summers. We recommend coming from late October to March, April. If you want a little bit of both worlds, I will come in May, early June, September, October. Speaking of the weather, generally speaking, considering the crazy weather due to climate change, this is usually the situation in Palermo. From January to March, it's cool and humid. This is not that North Pole with Santa Claus zooming across the sky, but you'll definitely want to cover up a bit. I usually wear heavy cotton sweaters and regular winter jackets. Spring and fall, these are the most annoying seasons of the stay here because you never know what to wear. Whatever you pick out from the closet will be too light or too heavy. So wearing layers, I usually go for t-shirts or light sweaters with a light leather jacket. Summer, this is when you want to take off even your skin. The city is boiling even at night, so leave any long sleeve items at home. As for how long you should stay, it depends on you, what you wanna do, what type of tourist you are. There are many variables involved. I recommend checking out the things that you wanna see first, then create an itinerary to determine how many days you need. On average, people spend from 3 to 5 days in the city, so again, I recommend checking out what you wanna do first and then create a plan. Now let's talk about where to stay in Palermo. Now I made an entire long and detailed video about that, so here I'm going to briefly summarize only the key points. You will find the link to the full video in the description or on the right corner of your screen. Now here is the gist. You got 3 popular areas to stay in Palermo. Number 1 area is the historic center. It's the most charming, the most interesting, and where you're gonna spend most of your time. But it may be chaotic. For all the pros and cons, check out the accommodation video I mentioned earlier. Number 2 area is Politeama Libertà. This is our newer city center. It might be considered our commercial downtown area full of shops, cafes, and so on and so forth. This area is not as charming and interesting as the historic center, but potentially it is ideal for families looking for a quieter area. And number 3, Mondello. Mondello is our seaside neighborhood, ideal for a beach vacation in the summer. Check out the accommodation video for all the pros and cons of each of these areas and for some lodging recommendations. Now, listen up, here are a great piece of advice. Do not randomly pick lodging without considering the neighborhood. Palermo's areas differ greatly, and if you choose an accommodation that doesn't match your vacation style and personality, you'll ruin your vacation. Every single day I see people make this mistake by being lazy and ignoring the neighborhood. Insomniacs booking apartments on loud and bar-lined pedestrian streets. Some others, just to save a few bucks, so book apartments in the boonies when only a magic carpet could get them into the city. Others go to the lifeless off-season seaside of Mondello in January when no one is there. The point is, research the neighborhoods, look into them, watch the accommodation video, and don't make stupid mistakes that could ruin your vacation. Here, where you stay makes or breaks the experience, but you seem smart, so I'm sure that you'll make a great choice. Speaking of helpful videos, there is another one that you gotta see: how to get around the city. This video, I cover everything related to transportation, airport connections, smart ways to get around the city, how to get outside the city, and so on and so forth. I won't go over these points again because my vocal cords are already messed up, so watch the video, but here are the key points to remember. Number 1, Palermo is a city best explored on foot, so as I said, get your lodging in the central and strategic areas where you can walk everywhere. Don't stay out in the boonies, otherwise you will waste a lot of time at bus stops. And this brings me to point number 2. Public transportation works fine for getting around the city and popular nearby areas. You got buses and these rentable e-scooters that do a great job. But the problem is when you need to go further out. This is when you are at the mercy of spotty service. Rent a car or not, you don't need a car in the city itself, and actually it wouldn't even be a problem because parking is a headache, the driving style is crazy, you need a daily pass to drive the historic center. A car is useful if you want to explore the surroundings and those beaches and towns that would be a pain to reach otherwise. Again, watch the transportation video, the link is in the description. I go into much more detail and share important information that you need to know. Now let's talk about safety. First off, I want to immediately address any concerns that you might have there somewhere in your mind. No, the Mafia ain't gonna snatch you up and take to an undisclosed location. They got bigger fish to find politics than worrying about tourists' pocket change. Palermo is considered a safe city, among the safest in Italy according to official statistics that you might check out online. However, there is no truly safe place on this planet for the naive, cocky, and foolish who for some reason don't take the regular precautions that any reasonable person would. Precautions dictated by common sense, like staying in a decent area, don't flash your money, and watch your back in crowded places like the markets. No more than that. Now, one important thing you should know: Palermo is a maze of narrow alleys and lanes, and some of them might be dimly lit and secluded at night. And why, as locals, see them as regular streets with no problems, to a foreigner eye, they feel like Jack the Ripper could jump out at any moment. Generally speaking, this perception are misleading and the streets are safe, but I advise you to stick to the main roads at night. Now, listen up, solo traveling ladies. This is the land of Romeos looking for yet another Juliet, even they already got one at home. Why some of them might be charming old school suitors, showering you with compliments and boosting your ego, some others are just jerks, kept calling and hitting on you in a monkey-like manner. And best way to shut them down, ignore them and move on. Pretend you are in a monkey forest and avoid making eye contact. Now wait. I gotta defend my Italian bros here. Only a small percentage are obnoxious like that, but unfortunately, idiots tend to be louder and stick in people's memories. Before wrapping up this point, a few words for our LGBT friend. You got no problems here. Palermo is a safe place to travel for you. Of course, you may get some occasional side-eye from grandpas, but no more than that. I made a special video on this topic. Check out the description for the link. How much does Palermo cost? I could talk about this topic for hours because there are many variables involved. How expensive is Palermo? It really depends on many factors, especially where you're coming from and what you're comparing it to. If you're coming from New York, London, Palermo feels like a steal, but if you're coming from Poland, it might feel like you are breaking the bank. So what I'm gonna do is give you some average costs so you can crunch your own numbers. I'm not gonna talk about the extremes, so I'm not gonna touch super expensive or super cheap stuff, just the middle of the road kind of deals. For a decent dinner at a good restaurant, again, not too ritzy but not bottom of the barrel either, with an appetizer, a main course, some wine, expect to fork out about 40 euros. At a reputable pizzeria, a margherita pie with some beer will set you back between 15-20 euros, and in an average bar, cocktails and glasses of wine cost 7 euros each. A nice room in a well-reviewed hotel or B&B centrally located costs 50 to 80 euros depending on the season per night per person. While for an entire and well-located, well-furnished B&B, not the kind that feels like you have stepped into your grandma's living room, and believe me, this is a thing in Palermo, ranges from 70 to 120 euros per night per person depending on the season, of course. Getting around Palermo won't empty your pocket. Airport bus is about 70 euros, bus tickets 1.50 euros. Quick tip, taxis can cost an arm and a leg, so it's best to skip them. As I said, these are middle of the road prices for decent quality stuff, but it's not a secret that you can sleep for 10 euros a night in hostels and eat cheap street food, pasta and pizza. But remember, as Sicilians say, you get what you pay for. Alright, now let's clear the air. Let's debunk some myths and some straight up nonsense that I often see making their rounds on the internet. Sadly, we live in a world with a lot of Toms and Johns who put together videos about a particular destination like Sicily, claiming they are local experts after hanging out there for 5 minutes, and it's sure as heck the stuff they pull out is garbage, and sometimes people naively buy into it. And then they show up here all misinformed. So let's tackle the 3 most ridiculous claims I hear all the time. The number one hooper I hear all the time is that us Sicilians roll out of bed and head straight to the freezer for some ice cream. Look, I'm 37 and I promise that I've never seen a fellow Sicilian kickstart their day with a scoop of ice cream. And think that most of the ice cream shops in town don't even open in the morning, unless they are in touristy areas, of course. This silly myth probably comes from the fact that in the Messina area, Messina is a Sicilian city, they sometimes enjoy granita. Granita is a semi-frozen dessert different from gelato as a mid-morning snack in the scorching summer days. Sure, when you're on vacation, you can go to this area and have it as a late breakfast, but this is far from being the traditional Sicilian breakfast. Trust me, we are not ravaging through our freezers for some ice cream before heading off to work. And the second stupid thing I hear often is that in Sicily we don't speak Italian, but some mysterious Sicilian dialect. Said that this bit of misinformation is sometimes even tossed out by some northern Italians who have never ventured beyond their own garden gate, but they talk about the words like they are Marco Polo. Let me set the record straight. First, our primary language is Italian. Second, Sicilian is not a dialect, but a full-fledged language recognized by UNESCO. And numero 3, naturally, just like anywhere else in the world, we have some local dialects spoken by folks who didn't have the chance for a formal education. I gotta say that sometimes I don't understand these people speaking local dialects either, but they are far from the majority. So if you speak Italian and you're coming here in Sicily, rest easy because everyone is gonna get you. And the third stupid thing I hear often is about this Mafia myth. The Mafia is in losing sleep over tourists. Since we are on the topic, I want to answer 2 questions my foreign friends always ask me. Nico, does the Mafia exist? Have you ever bumped into a mobster? Yes, the Mafia is real, the Mafia exists, and I've crossed paths with many mobsters in my life. When you grow up here, you kind of know who's who, and the police is in the know too, but they do nothing for... That's a story for another time. The point is that since I grew up here and I know how things work, I can assure you that they are not interested in tourists. They don't run around causing chaos or committing small crimes. They got bigger fish to fry. Their game, politics and big leagues, no tourists. So pack your bags, come over, and don't think about the Mafia. Now I help you answer an important question. Does Palermo suit you? Is Palermo for you or not? I'm sure you have asked friends about your next tourist destinations only to get wildly conflicting opinions. One is raving about it, while the other one says that it's a total rip-off. But that's normal, because travel is mainly in our heads and it ain't a universal experience. It's super subjective and gets all tangled up with our personalities and expectations. So depending on your vibe, personality, expectations, you can see things differently than the guy next to you, right? Seems like a no-brainer, right? Just basic psychology, but we all tend to space out and forget it. Now, why am I talking about this? Because while Palermo is a gem with many beautiful things to see, there are some things that might drive certain folks up the wall. So I'll lay out these things for you so that you can decide if the place suits you or it make you mad as hell. Other one, later. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Some areas of Palermo look like a dumpster exploded. Why? 3 reasons. Number 1, because 20% of Sicilians are morons who treat the streets like their personal trash can. Number 2, some of the same morons work for trash collection. They should clean up the streets. Spoiler, they ain't. Number 3, the cops who should be ticketing these morons, they ain't. They just chill in their cars and down espressos. So if you're the type of person who's going to obsess over a candy wrapper next to our epic monuments, maybe skip Palermo. Fortunately, most visitors don't care, they just enjoy our culture, history, and the many incredible things to do in Palermo. But if you know that you are the type of person who is laser focused on the ground and don't care about attractions and monuments, you should check out other cities. And number 2, service. Public services in Palermo are a mess. Buses often run late, there is no metro, taxis tend to rip people off, the streets have potholes that look like craters. If you're looking for flawless tourist services and a cookie-cutter experience, yeah, I recommend going to places like Florence or Venice. And number 3, anarchy. Our driving style is crazy. Crossing the streets feels like you're auditioning for a superhero movie. Queuing is not in our DNA. Nights get rowdy. It's controlled chaos where usually tourists have fun, but if you feel that you can thrive only in places where order reigns supreme, this might not be your jam. Now listen, I'm the first to admit that these flows are maddening. If I could, I would ship all of these idiots so later the city and cause inefficiency off to some remote island. But these are local headaches. You're staying here only for a few days, so why not to focus only on the good stuff? Have a blast and live with some great memories. Don't focus on the negative. And this isn't just about Palermo, this is a travel advice 101. But if you can help but zero in on the negatives, maybe another place would suit you better. And that's it. That's all for today. I think I've earned that thumbs up and a follow from you, don't you think? One important thing before saying ciao ciao. Palermo isn't too forgiving to tourists who don't plan ahead, so do your homework, sketch out a plan, and come as prepared as possible. This kind of prep work is what truly makes a difference, not just in Palermo, but everywhere you go. Make sure you use the gems from this video and take a look at the description. I've got links to important videos that you need to watch, like the best areas to stay and the best tours you don't want to miss. And if you want the full experience, so a guide packed with itineraries, restaurant accommodations, audio guides, and all the insider tips for living it up Palermo style, check out my premium guide. The link is in the description. That's all, grazie mille, ci vediamo presto, ciao!